Hey everybody, Jesse Slaughter with the Pursuit Podcast. And today we're going to interview Jim and Al Kinsey. Not only have they started an amazing corporation that you're going to hear all about that protects our banking, protects our law enforcement, and also protects our identities, we're going to talk about their history from Jim being a producer, making amazing videos and movies all throughout the state of Montana and throughout this entire country, and to Al, who used to be my partner in internet crimes against children when we hunted down some of the worst child predators, not only in Montana, but possibly in the entire country. This is a great story with a lot of war stories, a lot of fun, and it was a great, great experience, and we will definitely have them on again. Stand by.
6-9 foot pursuit. Stop! Shut! Stop!
Hey Al. Hey Jim. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us on here today, Jesse.
I'm super excited about this one. I really am. So I kind of want to cover where you guys grew up and where you came from. Obviously, Al, you and I worked together for years.
Correct.
Chasing down child pedophiles. We had a lot of good times together.
We did.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Good and bad times. Yeah.
Good and bad times. Yeah, we did. But most, we put away a lot of bad guys. There's a lot of guys sitting in a cell right now, very mad at us.
It's a lot of work in the background. People read a little blurb in the paper, but there's a lot of work and a lot of other people involved.
Yeah.
In what's named in the paper. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a ton of work. No, it's still to this day, of everything I've ever done in my career, that's the thing I'm the most proud of, was putting away those pedophiles.
Absolutely. I could see why, yeah.
That was literally the most gratifying thing. It was not hard to get up in the morning and go, I got to go to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I watched that movie Sound of Freedom this year, and just unbelievable. For me on the outside looking in, I might have served in the Marine Corps, but I didn't know the extent of trafficking and what went on. And when I watched that movie, I really appreciated what Al had spent and what you do as in your line of work, Jesse, as a sheriff. And I was so appreciative for guys like you that have had to go through all of that, and then but at the end of the day, put away those guys.
Yeah, and Al had the horrible job of having to coach me up on all of it.
Yeah.
I need to explain this to you one more time.
Exactly.
No, you got the hang of really quick.
We had a lot of really good times with that, and I remember before the podcast, I was thinking of all the major arrests that we made together. We had all the very first stings in Montana where we really did them full scale.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I mean, literally dozens of them. We arrested pedophiles by the dozens.
Yeah, to catch a predator off, it would line them up. And we had the takedown teams. It was literally, it's kind of crazy to see.
It was literally like playing air traffic control. You'd have all these perverts lined up, and they were, instead of flying in a circle around the runway, they were driving in a circle around the target house.
Unreal.
And the helicopter would be like, okay, you got one here and you got one there. And okay, we're going to take this guy and we're going to take him in the back room and duct tape his mouth shut. No, we really didn't do that. But we about had to. It felt like.
Yeah, we had to whisk him away really quick.
We did.
We had somebody knock on the door.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
We literally would be putting a guy in handcuffs, moving him to the back, and the next guy's coming in.
Unreal.
I remember in Missoula, remember that retired cop we got?
Yep.
Who worked child molestation cases for 25 years. He actually killed himself before trial.
Oh.
And it was crazy. Were you interviewing me with me on that one?
I remember going to the PD, but I don't remember.
No, we interviewed him in the basement.
Okay, no, then I was not. Yeah.
And the reason we interviewed him in the basement is we could hear the next guy getting tackled on the floor upstairs from the next day.
They were just coming in.
Yeah, just
one after another.
Yeah. Well, Missoula, they call it Zoo Town for a reason.
Yeah.
We saw literally, we had a guy come who was going to tie the little girl up. Remember that guy? We had a husband and wife come. We had the retired cop.
Yeah, we've arrested everybody from priest to firefighter to police to special agents. Even when I worked the cases in Arizona, it doesn't matter. People hide in their careers, and it's amazing who you catch, and they come out of the woodwork because that's what they do, and it's good to catch them.
It seems, just me on the outside looking in, it's not my profession, but it seems like you can't trust anybody because you never know what they really are or what they could be.
There's always an element to that. I'm personally not that jaded.
Okay.
I'm not. But back when it was funny, I was just in Valier this weekend. My brother-in-law bought a place up there, so I was up there for a cat grizz. We had a little shindig up there.
Sure.
Remember that Curtis Auberg guy we got who owned he had a publication called the Trader Dispatch. And I didn't know who he was, and I don't know if you did either until we arrested him. At the time. And then we later learned out he was like a kind of a big deal in the Golden Triangle.
Right.
And he had the choice between having a sex with a 15-year-old or a 12-year-old, and he purposely stated that he wanted to have sex with a prepubescent 12-year-old.
Unreal.
And we took him down, and he got a sweetheart deal by a really terrible judge. And a lot of it was because who he had as a defense attorney. It was really frustrating. And that happened a lot. We got very frustrated with the sentencing.
Very frustrated. Depends on, of course, what court, what judge, there's a lot of politics involved. Even though there's statute of limitations and mandatory sentencing guidelines, they kind of deter a little bit. And, we do our work, and of course, you're trying to protect the community. And result, some people don't see the time they should get. And it's very frustrating, but you still get them off the street and save somebody, save a kid.
Well, we just had to do our little part. We couldn't control it. One of the things that was frustrating, though, is like you said, though, it's like, where do you justify doing this? Like, where in your moral compass? And the part that bothered me the most a lot of times was the judge's decisions. And I would just sit there and say, where in your moral compass do you think this is excusable? And one of the ones that I think hit me between the eyes the hardest was the Jamie Fair case. And
I almost walked out of the court. I was so mad.
I was so mad.
So mad. But.
So Al and I, and it was me, you, and John Zrud, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we were working this case we got an Interpol hit on a guy, which was crazy. We'd never had an Interpol hit before. And it was an Interpol hit on a guy that was into child pornography. So we bring him down to the station, and Al's interviewing him, and he signs me permission to search his phone. And so his phone's open, and one of the things you kind of do sometimes is you do a cursory search if you have it, just so that you kind of know where everything is. And later on, you're going to, dump the phone and do the whole thing. But I have signed consent, and I asked him, I said, can I look through it right now? And he's like, yeah. So I'm scrolling through it, and I don't know if Kick's still around, that app, but there was an app called Kick.
I doubt it, yeah.
And there's a little green light on the app which told me there was a conversation ongoing. So I click on it, and it's a woman, and it's a total God thing, because I don't remember a time we ever really looked through someone's phone live. It just
not that fast.
Yeah, but we were always like, yeah, we'll just do it later. And we interviewed the person.
And so when you saw the green light, it was live.
Yeah, that meant that he'd had a conversation with someone at that time. And so Al's like all into his interview. He's just like going back and forth with this guy. And guy's being cooperative and basically kind of confessing to stuff. And I start swiping, and I see this woman, and she's selling her 10-year-old daughter for sex. And the conversation ends with, you better hurry up and get here because there's another guy coming. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like this, and I'm like, Al, get out, come here. we go out, and I'm like, look at this. And so I'll never forget, because all we had was
the first name
of the victim
and a picture.
And no,
I thought we had a picture of
we didn't.
an award, or
no, we didn't.
About winning
we had a
award.
Location.
Okay,
it was in Big Sandy.
She won a little award. I remember that.
No, we learned that from her, from where we found her. So then John Zrud does a quick little internet search, and he's like, her? And it has the name and the correct name of the mom and in that town. And obviously I'm not going to say the name of the victim. And then, because it was an award that she'd won, and she was recognized in her yearbook.
Oh, she's Louise.
But the yearbook got published online, thank God.
That's the only reason you found her.
I'll never forget those. Like, do you remember that? I almost quit the Great Falls Police Department that night. Do you remember? I got denied permission to go.
Right, I remember that.
So we're standing there, and I call my boss, and he was terrible. And I called him up, and I'm like, hey, this is what we got. we got to go rescue this girl. I've got HSI with me. We've contacted the sheriff's office up there. And he's like, yeah, you can deal with this on Monday. I'm like, no, we can't. We've got to go save this little girl. And so Al and Johnsrud are both like, well, we're going anyway. And I'm like, I know. And so am I. And I somehow never got in trouble for that. But
of course,
we
we
took off, and then what was the coolest part was we were in this. Remember, we were in like this blowing snowstorm,
Right.
And we're doing like 100 plus on that crappy highway to Fort Benton to rescue this little girl. And the coolest part was I remember Choteau County sheriffs were on the side of the road, and they just linked up with us, and we went.
Nice.
I mean, we were just like, we're going.
Yeah.
And we just walked right into that house, and we rescued that girl. And
What a great feeling to rescue her.
the mom had drugged her, and then Al and I got a confession out of her in the basement. So fast forward, she takes a plea deal, and the mandatory minimum is 15 years. So she has to do 15 years for what she did.
Yeah.
And the judge apologizes to her in the courtroom in open court. So Al and I
that his hands were tied, and he has to sentence her to 15 years. And we're like, the actions that she did, besides what we're saying here, it was
we're not going to share that.
Yeah,
we're not going to share that.
So it deserved because she was female,
and she was a
hand. This thing was just because it was a male.
Yeah.
It would have been totally
different. Yeah.
But we had photographic evidence. She was a hands-on offender of that girl herself. So it wasn't just that she was selling her daughter. She was also an offender. And it was totally sexist. And Al and I had worked really hard to get the rapport of the grandparents whose house they were at. Right. They lived in the basement of the grandparents' house. And we had them, they were like all on our side. Everything was good. They were caring about their granddaughter. They were mad that she had done this to her daughter. We were solid. And we'd met with them before. Everything was great.
Did they flip at the end?
They did.
Oh.
And they did. And Al and I got stuck in the elevator with them. And they were screaming at us, cussing at us all the way down. How could we do this to their daughter? And that judge turned them against us with his BS that I have to do this. And and he even apologized to her. I'm so sorry. And that was a rough case.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Even before, I started working ICAT cases with you, I learned, you just do your reports and turn them in. Well, I got to the point where I started seeing that the sentencing started reflecting. So I would write the report I would tell all the details, very detailed, so that when probation, pretrial would take to the judge, he would read. So there's no question exactly what the person did. And then there was no question. And it would show in the sentencing. Because they just read the reports, but if it's very, very detailed, same thing with defense. Yeah, there's no defense if you just list it all out.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was. I have a funny story about that. Do you remember? You helped me on that Kutsera guy that I had to go down to California and get.
Right.
And you remember Cindy Peterson, right?
Yeah, I love Cindy P. Yeah,
I do too. But she's very. Cindy has a lot of presence.
Okay.
Like she's intimidating. She's very rigid.
Sure.
She's very detailed. And so we're doing pretrial. We'd done pretrial prep before. We'd already done this in the office, which was embarrassing enough. And she would make me read what he said, and she would read what the victim said. And that's what we were going to do on the stand. And we were going to go through every single one of their conversations. And it was so graphic.
Oh, sure.
And like he's baby talking her and doing all this stuff, and I have to do it. I have to act it.
Oh no.
And so we're going back and forth. And so then we get to trial, and it's she calls me on the phone, and she's like, "Will you meet me at the courthouse 2 or 3 hours before? I want to go over this one more time." And I'm like, "Yes." And so I have to sit, and she reads me this stuff, and I have to say this in a naughty voice, pervertedly back to her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. And I mean, I'm just serious, my face is all red. Yeah. I look like Al coming on the podcast. I'm like, I don't want to be here. And by the grace of God, the bright lights of the courtroom turn on, and he looks at his attorney, and he sees me stack all the computers and all the evidence behind the chair. And he looks at that and gets his attorney, he goes outside, he walks back and he goes, yeah, we'll take the deal.
Just like that. So all that for
All that weird, uncomfortable, dirty talk with
Just
a
in
federal
case.
prosecutor for nothing.
just in case.
It was terrible. But no,
Classic.
it was that was a wild ride. But I miss it. I don't miss the stress because it's very stressful.
Well,
Sure.
as you know, I
Story.
retired, and I'm glad it's over. I mean,
Yeah.
you do your time, but there's always somebody else to fill your shoes and move forward and
Absolutely.
work those cases. And there's some great detectives doing it. So.
Yeah. No, there is. I think I miss the adrenaline rush of it all, though. I mean, it was a big. I mean, all of us have carried a gun and done dangerous things, and that's
Yes.
a huge adrenaline rush.
Totally.
But you just like this, you can't do that forever. And so that was my next step was how do I get that? And it's like you got it out of chasing these guys down, and then
Well, yeah, I moved from Arizona up here, and down there we were doing drug cartel, crazy stuff on the border. You come to Great Falls, Montana, and it's like it's going from 100 miles an hour to 0.
yep.
As much as I love Montana, I actually thought about going back because I missed the adrenaline. You can't buy that. I mean, unless you jump out of an airplane
Every day or something.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just you can't.
Well, and you got mixed up in a lot of stuff down there. I mean, you got
yeah, it was
you
just-
got into
yeah.
it down there.
Yeah. Like you would, no exaggeration, hundreds of car chases.
Yeah.
High speed pitting, bad guys shooting at you, you're shooting at them. Crazy.
I think you told me a story where you knocked the one guy out. He was like 6'6". He was trying to kick your butt, and you knocked him out.
We found out later he already killed a guy in Mexico, and he tried taking my M4. And I could have shot him. He tried grabbing it, and I knocked him out a couple times.
Nice.
He kept getting back up.
And I was waiting for my buddy who was a little out of shape to get up the mountain because we had been in a pursuit, and probably like a 6-mile pursuit. We spiked him, and
Yeah.
then they took off running. I couldn't catch the fast guy. He was fast. So I went for the passenger. It was a little heavier, but big, and I caught him.
Yeah.
What was crazy is we kind of ended our crazy wild ride with arresting a Catholic priest, Father Lou.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
true, yeah.
that was crazy, and it was kind of a fitting end to culmination of our partnership because everything we did, it seemed like was a big case. I mean, it just seemed like we were always like our cases were always in the front page of the paper,
Right.
and
I think you always referred to him as tomorrow we're arresting a monkey. I think that's what she would say to me. That was his cover word for we're taking a pedophile down tomorrow, Long before it hit the paper, he'd be like, tomorrow this guy's going down. Keep an eye out for that. And boom, just like that, clockwork.
Yeah.
So I'm super proud of my brother for all that he did as law enforcement. And we're happy to have him working with us now.
absolutely no, it's a huge deal, and we had a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun. And I still remember like one of the things that my wife used to laugh is Al and I had this crazy law of attraction, not to each other.
I had a little to you. I'm not gonna lie.
We'll talk about that off air. All right. But no, we had this crazy law of attraction where like we would get really big cases, but then there'd always be this like really weird spin to something. It was never as simple. It was never like,
Oh no.
arrested pedophile, went to prison the same. It was always like a twist.
Yeah.
And one of the ones I remember, I don't know if you remember this or not, but Al and I had worked, I think it was about 5 pedophiles, and it was right around the Auburn time when they all got sweetheart deals. Remember, they were all getting like only suspended.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were running them in state court for a while. So the cool part about Al and I's partnership with pedophiles, right? We were always like, okay, where do I get the biggest bang for my buck? So if it looked like we get more prison time, Al would be like, okay, I'll run the case federal. And then if it looked like it'd be better state, then I'd be like, oh, let's take this one state.
Right.
And we
Gotcha.
always did state warrants because those covered everything.
Sure.
And they were easier. And
Way easier.
Way easier.
Yeah.
So we kind of had this little system down where we would just put yin and yang off each other back and forth about where the cases were going to land. And it really made us really effective.
That's cool.
Well, when it was early on, the feds were being really weak. Well, then the state was nailing them. So we were pushing cases state.
Sure.
But
Makes
what
sense.
happens is you get 10 cases in the bucket. Well, you can't take them federal now because speedy trial would have been up on them. So they're just waiting to process through. And in the middle, we see this shift, and all of a sudden, all this prison time people used to get started to turn into suspended time.
Suspended, yeah.
So I don't know if you remember this, but Judge Sandifer ran for Supreme Court Justice.
I do.
And so there's this flyer that goes out, and it's called Set 'em Free Sandifer.
Oh, yeah.
And every booking photo, there's 5 inmates on there. They're all Allenized rests. So I'll never forget, I'm sitting there and I pull it out of my mailbox and I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember I called you and I'm like, this, you know, and we both knew we didn't leak it. When you were in detectives and you were working those cases, you didn't get involved in politics.
Sure, right.
You were apolitical or you were dead.
Right.
Yeah,
It wasn't gonna
understood.
work. So we both know we're not doing this, but we're like, and we're just like, well, they're pedophiles. Why wouldn't they do that?
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, I'm sitting in my office, and Noah Scott had his desk next to mine, and we're talking about it. And he's making fun of me, like, "Oh, you're going to be in such deep shit by the judge."
Yeah, right.
And my phone rings, and it says Judge Sandifer on it, and I show it to him.
Oh, no,
And he's
man.
like, so I answer, and I'm like, "Hey, Judge." And he's like, "You need to come see me in my chambers now." I'm like, "Okay." Hang up the phone. I go tell my boss, and I go down there, and he just starts yelling at me. I'm like, "It's not me." He later figured out, I think, who really did it.
Yeah.
But I think it was a Republican Party out of
Yeah,
Billings
sure.
or something that did it.
Set 'em free.
Set 'em free,
Set 'em
Sandifer.
free.
And that was the. And we
It's
took
a
heat.
classic.
We took heat for that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
They thought for sure it was you.
Oh, they thought for sure it was
Oh,
me.
but you know what? That way to ruffle a little
wasn't
feathers.
me. I mean-
That's a good way to put it out there, though.
There was part of me that wishes it was.
Of
but,
course.
Yeah.
I think we've done some fun things. When I used to work at the post office, I mailed. People don't know I worked at the post office for 10 years. While I was working my production company, I mailed my boss because I was about ready to sign on the dotted line. I mailed him a live pigeon, and he came into the office and he had this priority mailbox, and I'd stuffed it full of peanuts, And he shows up and he's like, "Oh, I must have missed this. When did that come in?" "Oh, it just came in." Don Scott was his name. If you're listening, Don Scott. So anyway, he sits down, kicks his feet up at the desk, opens up that letter thing. He's like, opens it up, and out comes that freaking pigeon, man, and boof.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, "Kinsey." I was like about a week or two from getting out of that place, but I had to put it out there. Guys,
Now you're out now,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, long gone.
So, well, no, I meant you were out that day.
I should have been fired, but I wasn't somehow.
So, where'd you guys grow up?
Both of us grew up in Western Maryland. We were born. I was born in Bethesda. You were born in Prineville, right?
Prineville, Oregon.
Yeah. So
And Thurmont.
So
Thurmont area.
What's the age difference between you two?
20
20
months.
months.
I'm
20 months,
I'm
okay.
older brother. So yeah, we were
I'm
20
the
months.
good-looking brother. He's the older
There
looking.
you go.
I'm the old guy.
There you go.
Yeah. So we grew up in Maryland. In '85, my mom and dad decided to move west, and they moved to the Bitterroot Valley, Florence,
Right.
Montana.
Yeah, to backing up a little bit.
Yeah.
So we moved out here from Maryland with the kid, Daniel.
Daniel, yeah.
We brought a kid with us. My
Like a
parents
foster,
were raising,
foster kid.
Yeah, foster
Just
kid.
a ran-
Not
just
even
a random
foster.
kid.
The parents just let him go. He wasn't adopted.
Yeah.
So we moved to Montana. We're in a little motel. Next to us is a family with 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Later, my parents become friends with them. Later, the father kills the mother.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does 30 years. My mom and dad adopt
All
the
4.
4 children.
wow.
So then we have 5, if you count the one from Maryland. When we bought a house, it came with the kid. You can't make this up.
Yeah.
People are like, red flag, that's not
It's not
true.
real.
No, it's real. So there's a guy, Conrad. He was, 10th grade?
Yeah.
He was finished in high school. He was living down here from Anchorage, and his parents would pay the rent of the house we bought. So our parents let us
So he
let
stays
stay.
with us. Huh?
Yeah. So now we had a full house.
Yeah.
And then when,
And are you the only biological children?
no.
You do?
We have a sister,
Yes.
younger
sister?
sister. Yeah, she's
So-
7 years.
So there's
younger.
like 10 kids.
yeah,
or
it's like
something?
Brady Bunch. Literally, you can't make this up.
What did your parents do?
Well, kind of odd jobs, really.
Yeah,
My dad
my-
kind of just floated around, did it.
Lot
Any
of-
kind of.
He worked at the Washington Post when he was a younger man.
Yeah.
Like he did a lot of advertising for the Washington Post. But when he moved out west, he was overqualified for the Missoulian. So they were like, no. So he went just doing odd jobs.
Cars. He did kind of like every kind of little thing, but
Yeah,
never
pawn
really
shops.
had a career,
I always
guess.
love that overqualified thing.
Yeah.
Like when I see overqualified people, I'm like, you're hired.
Exactly.
I don't go, yeah, I'm not going to hire you.
Yeah. So
And then he went in the Marine Corps, and when I was going in the Army,
So did you guys go to high school in the Bitterroot Valley?
Florence Carleton. We both
Florence
graduated Florence Carleton, and I did almost a year at the University of Montana. Yeah, and then
Not the same.
joined the Marine Corps. Yeah.
so then our parents adopted 2 more kids.
Wow.
From Lolo. Same thing. The parents were in Lolo. They had twins. They killed the boys.
Yeah.
And then my parents, of course,
What?
adopted.
Yeah,
Killed
literally.
the twins.
Jeez.
So my parents adopted those 2.
Okay, don't go to the Bitterroot Valley. You're probably going to die.
Isn't that crazy? It's
It's
just kind
crazy.
of a backstory of growing up.
Yeah, so we had
huge family.
a huge family, outer people that we just met, and they're starting to come into our. Well, luckily, I was out of there. I was like 2 years and I'm gone. See ya.
Yeah,
You know.
and I was just leaving to the Army, so it was good to get out.
My
and do
poor
own
sister,
thing.
she took the brunt of it. I think she was in there like for Brady Bunch for the whole time. But my mom,
How younger? How much younger is your sister?
4 years younger.
4
than
years.
me.
Oh yeah, so she
6 years
she-
younger
So
than
when,
me, yeah.
by the time you left, she's got all of high school.
yeah, and she's still hanging with them all. And, I mean, I'm sure it affected her somewhat, but we all got through it together. And I think some of them turned out good. Some of them probably didn't turn out so good. We know.
In fact, one just died. I don't
One
know.
died and got hit by somebody
car.
hitting a run, and
geez.
they died. One of the sisters, but yeah. So we extended family, but yeah. Then from there, I went into Marines, got out and did work some odd jobs, and then went to work for the U.S. Postal Service in Missoula.
What did you do in the Marine Corps? What was your
I was a 6143, 6142, and 6043, which is basically aviation welder and AMS machine. I worked in
Don't let him fool you. You went to
metalsmith.
Hawaii. Hawaii.
Well, let me
He
tell you
was
how I
stationed-
got to Hawaii, little brother. So it was a Navy taught school in Millington,
Okay.
Tennessee. We always do the Army versus, Army
Oh,
versus
yeah.
Marine Corps.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's basically Army Navy because
yeah.
Marines are the same as the Navy.
pretty much. So I had one of the highest scores in it was a Navy taught school for aviation structural mechanic. And when I got out of A school, I had an 87%, which I worked my butt off for. A couple of Marines couldn't make it. They went to 0311. If you don't make it through the school, you're packing an M16 in the desert. And so I was like, I'm going to get through this. And so I did. And then I said, I want the West Coast because at the time, I want to be close to my girlfriend and all that, El Toro or one of those places, aviation, naval or aviation place there. And I thought, well, so I get my orders come in and they go, well, we got you the West Coast. It's the far West Coast. It's Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, 1st Marines. I'm like, hell yeah. I'm on an island with a beach. Yeah.
So how many years did you do in the
I
Marine
did
Corps?
4 years.
Did you first? Did you get most of them in Hawaii?
Yeah, and I did one little stint where I went over to Okinawa, Japan.
I heard that's rough.
it was
I heard
rough.
I heard that's terrible.
Same thing.
heard that's
12 on,
terrible.
12 off.
So
hanging
basically,
with
what
all
you're
the beautiful
telling me is your
Japanese
entire
women.
military career, you ate sushi. That's
Pretty
what
much.
You're pretty much telling me.
Yes, I did actually. And I can use chopsticks like nobody's business.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So then now, where did you go in the Army? Where did you
So I went to Redstone Arsenal, Alabama.
Okay.
I was 95 Bravo, military police. So it's like street patrol. You just give a little K car, they called it. And then you drive around and, issue tickets and domestic disturbances. Same thing, except on base. And then from there, I did 2 years. And then I went over to Germany, which is awesome. I was over there, 90 to 92. During when the Berlin Wall came down, and
Awesome.
my buddies and I, we could have went, but we decided to go drinking. I mean, it's just when you're that age,
Just watch it on TV. Just watch it on
Looking
TV.
back, you see on TV. Yeah, it was just dumb. Looking back, like man, I could have seen that in history, but
know, that's very
that's
cool.
what you do. And so I was over there. We guarded. There was a nuke site, so it was brutal. Like we do 83 days straight on. Oh, brutal. And then you get roughly about 12 hours off, of course, sleeping, PT, clean the weapons, take the nuke site again. Oh, crazy. And so we closed that site down. In fact, something you didn't know about me, I was on a Chinook helicopter with 41 nuclear warheads.
Whoa.
Just the warhead itself.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 of them. And then it's just the pilots, air enforcement officer, and myself. 19-year-old with an M16.
Were they like really good pilots? I hope they were.
Those guys are good.
I hope they were really
They could be the best.
Well, I asked them. I said, "So what happens?" And we had 2 of them, and roughly 80 some nuclear warheads. I asked the guy. I said, "So what happens if we crash?" I'm thinking, I
It's
take
the
Europe
end
with
of the
If
world
Al
as
Kinsey
you know it.
dies, everybody dies. You know, this is global. Everybody.
It's like a nuclear winter.
And they're like, oh,
It's all
no,
good.
no, they're wrapped up and they could sustain this kind of heat and explosion. And I'm like, no.
No,
there's
man, no,
At
man.
least I know I get the benefit that everybody dies if I die.
Yes. There you go. There you go. And you're going to be just eviscerated, so you won't feel nothing.
I wouldn't know, but I know going down that everybody's going with me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's awesome. So how many years in the military did you do, Al?
I did 4 active and then about 11 reserve. So
Oh, you stayed in for 11, huh?
yeah, I did. So I did engineer, and I built schoolhouses around the world, really.
Wow.
From Egypt, all over Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. We would help out with different operations like Bright Star, just do a lot of stuff. It was cool. And I was out of the unit to see it was a 279th Engineer Detachment out of Missoula. Of course, they're closed now, but that group was awesome. Like those guys, I'd go to war. I'd go to because they're just a group of guys, and women that you work with, and it was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. We're going to get into your guys' careers and kind of start that, but let's take a quick break real quick.
Okay.
Whether you're into getting fit or staying fit or just having fun with the family, join the Peak Health and Wellness Center today. With 2 great locations in Great Falls, they're here to serve you. If you like weightlifting, functional fitness, or enjoy a wide selection of cardio equipment, the Peak has everything you need. They also offer classes for all ages and fitness levels. The Peak even has a daycare for those busy parents out there. Go check out the Peak today. The Double Barrel Cafe is all about you, the amazing people of Cascade County. With every purchase you make, they give back to our community. Every bite and sip fuels their mission. Let's make a positive change, 1 cup and 1 bite at a time, because the Double Barrel is not just a cafe, they're building a better community. If you haven't noticed lately, Cascade County is booming, and the choice for all your construction needs is Builders First Source. They even have an automated home builders solution for all of your construction needs. Go to 826 Northwest Bypass in Great Falls and check them out today. Are you looking to replace those floors in your home? Or maybe you're doing new construction? The place I trust is Contract Flooring Carpet One. This is a locally owned and operated business here in Great Falls, and they are committed to serving you and giving you the very best prices and the very best product and service. Go see Contract Flooring Carpet One today. You'll be floored. If you love a farm-to-table experience as much as I do, then you have to go to the Roadhouse Diner. The local McCafferty Ranch beef served on every burger. Try my personal favorite, Death by Bacon, today. Central Avenue Meats gets their beef and pork exclusively from a local producer, McCafferty Ranch. Go see them at 422 Central Avenue in Great Falls, and always support your local rancher. When deciding who I would trust for the technology component of this podcast, the choice was simple: Information Systems in Montana. Whether purchasing products for business or when I had them build me a new MacBook to catch child predators, they delivered, creating a solution for my exact needs. Contact Information Systems in Montana today. Everybody needs a good insurance plan. Whether it's for home or auto insurance, check out Heinbaugh Agency. Eric Heinbaugh is a local agent focused only on customer service, not sales. If you're passionate about firearms and the Second Amendment like I am, one of the best places in all of Montana to go is Mitchell Supply. Jim and Tammy Mitchell have been running this gun store for decades. They're major supporters of the Second Amendment, and they're major supporters of our community. And obviously, they're supporters of this podcast. For all your firearms needs, go check out Mitchell Supply today. And we're back, guys. So we've talked a little bit about your military career, kind of where you guys grew up and your kind of very adventurous childhood.
Yeah.
I kind of want to dive into a little bit what you guys did in your careers to kind of get to where you are now. So, Jim, I'll just start with you. Just like kind of talk to me through, what you did after college in the military, and go from there.
Yeah. So, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back home, started to raise a family and then worked construction a little bit. And then got a job at the U.S. Postal Service, and I started there as a letter carrier, 1100 West Kent, Zootown, and it was really a lot of fun. I got to carry mail, and it was, summertime was great, winters sucked, and so I thought, well, how do I get out of the winters? And it was like all of a sudden a job posted for a maintenance position. It was disabled vet. You get extra points for putting in for it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put in for this, and it might be degrading because I'll be a custodian, but my play is to eventually get myself out of this place and follow my love, which is filming. People don't know that about me. As a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, I was always packing my dad's camera equipment around. And so I thought, how do I get out of this situation? I want to use the government's money to work my way into a production company to eventually walk out of this place. It took me 10 years to the day. I started in the 15th of July in 1995, and I walked out of the door on the 15th of July, 2005.
It's hard to leave those cushy government jobs.
Well, everybody used to think, they were like,
right?
They called me Hollywood because 8 of the 10 years there, I had my own production company. And I was working with Nat Geo and Discovery, and I'd put a couple shows out on, PBS, Montana PBS that went nationwide, which made me a national producer. So all of a sudden, I was an award-winning filmmaker pushing a freaking broom.
Right.
Go figure, right? So it was degrading, but my big picture thinking was eventually I'm going to walk out the door. And you know who showed up to pick me up? My uncle, John, who was in the Marine Corps as well, served in Vietnam. He had just won a brand new Corvette, literally in Vegas, on I forget what he was playing. It was like a
No, it was a Windows 2000 door prize.
That's what it was. Yeah, Windows 2000 door prize.
He still has a Corvette.
He still has it to this day.
It was a Windows 2000 door prize?
Yeah, it was a door prize, and he won the Corvette.
So guess who shows to pick me up with a brand new vet? He pulls up and he goes, "Do you know how to drive a stick?" I said, "Oh yeah." All my guys that were the naysayers that said the golden noose has got you, you're never getting out of here. I jumped in that vet and I ripped a Brody out of the post office and left rubber for the whole way out because it was 10 years of frustration.
I think that's a federal offense.
Doesn't qualify. Trust me.
But that was 25 years of, when I got out of there. I mean, I've been producing since 1998. In July of this year, 2023, June, actually end of June was my last television series. So I produced over 200 episodes in my career and on dozens of national commercial spots, Sportsman's Channel episodes. And my last show just was Adventure Hunter, which was a van life show. I traveled around with, I have Taya Kyle, everybody knows her, widowed a good American sniper, Chris Kyle.
Yeah.
I had Jim Miller on my series, which is the winningest fighter in UFC history. Wow. Him and I killed big bucks in Oklahoma last year. So our whole series was driving around in a van. My last part, as I was literally driving out of my career and onto the road to other things. That's what I did. I literally told great stories.
So talk to me about that. I mean, you literally hunted for a living.
Yes.
And did your production thing.
Correct. Yeah.
And I mean, the production things was kind of what is paying the bills, right?
Yes.
But the byproduct of it is you decided, did you decide to like, hey, I enjoy the outdoors, I enjoy to hunt,
yes.
I'm going to make this what I wanted to be?
Yes, because from when I was a young kid, I used to watch all the, the Barry Wenzels and the Chuck Adams and all these guys growing up as a kid. And I was like, these are like my role models. Like I wanted to be like these guys. And I remember seeing at the Fireside Pizza in Stevensville, Montana as a 17-year-old, I was talking to Chuck Adams, who was wearing like a plaid shirt and I'm like, Chuck, what are you doing? He goes, I'm writing for Bowhunter magazine. And I literally, people don't know this, and I'll kind of a spoiler alert, but I'm on the front cover of Eastman's next issue, Bowhunter Journal.
Nice.
It's about an 8x8 bull that I killed close by, not too far from here on the Rocky Mountain front.
Just south of town somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
Some undisclosed
location.
There you go.
Yeah, far south. And but it goes back to those days I talked to Chuck, and Chuck told me, quote unquote, he goes, "Don't give up on what you want to be and where you want to be." He said, if that's what you want to do, you want to write articles for magazines and you want to make it a career hunting and being a conservationist, follow your dream. And so I did.
Yeah.
And he influenced me and a lot of other we call legacy guys.
So talk to me about what's it like living that career? I mean, is it a lot of living? Is it a lot of living out of your vehicle, like hustling
on the road constantly?
Yeah.
You're not home a lot. I wasn't home for my birthday for pretty much my entire career. I was gone because it was the time to hunt and tell that story and be someplace, Midwest or wherever it was, or Montana. We did a lot of hunting out of Montana, DIY. We did a lot of stuff with veterans. I think when I met Chris Kyle, first time I met him, we were all pro staff for Cryptech. And when I met Chris, I met him at a Cryptech party and he had just released American Sniper. And when he signed my book, he said, Jim, it's our duty to serve those that serve us. So here I am prior Marine, working in the outdoor industry, and I'm not doing veteran shows. I was like, shame on me. What is wrong with you? And it was a wake up moment for me. And so from that point on, I started really working with veterans and having them on the show. And I've done it with triple amputees, double amputee, Bo Rich and Becky's out of Navy SEAL out of Billings. He was on an episode. So you travel a lot, you're gone a lot, but I think, the biggest part of the joy in it all was giving back, helping those guys, tell their story, pouring it out of their cup, PTSD, and all the things that they suffered from what they saw at the war, which I never saw war. So for me, I felt like it was my job to give back to them.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. So how do you, it's funny, during the break, we had a little technical difficulty here. How do you deal with all of the editing and all of the stuff when you're on the road? I mean, it's not like you're driving in a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah. So to answer that question, a lot of times I actually would just pull out a little, hard drive, and I would connect it to my Mac, and I would pull over and I would work on my episodes at a hotel or whatever. But the cool thing about my time span of when my shows aired, I was a January through June show. So I ran 13 original January, February, March, quarter one. And then quarter two, it would go April, May, June, right?
Right.
So, for me, I would be stockpiling them all year long, and I would have a surplus of episodes. By the time December, the first week of December hit, that's when I would start delivering my first 3 episodes. So I was always almost like you do with, like, maybe with podcasts, where you would keep extra podcasts in the can.
Yeah.
I stockpiled my shows.
Okay.
And I would do 12 originals instead of 13. And the 13th, I would just pull from everything. So it saved me an episode every year that I could almost like bank on. I would have an extra episode.
So did you do, like during the summer and stuff, did you do a lot of fishing?
Yeah, we did bow fishing.
Then
Then we'd go right into that. Or spring bear hunting, we would do that as well.
I always harassed Al when I worked with him that I wanted to go bow fishing, and he would never take me.
Well,
I was
guess
always
what?
like, that's like the one thing I wanted to do.
Specifically this past season. And you were like, I'm doing something.
I couldn't go. I was out of town or something.
See? I did invite you.
Was it bow fishing or was it just fishing? I couldn't remember.
Bow fishing.
I want to do that.
Yeah, we
so
do
bad.
it all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Canyon Ferry right here,
Yeah.
you go around down to Townsend in that country, and you jump in his boat, the Greasy Hog, quote unquote. That thing is like a beast. It's
People
been
actually
everywhere.
on the highway, because we have I took a really expensive jet boat and I put the cheesiest sticker
Block letters.
It says Greasy Hog on the back. People speed by us and slow down and then take pictures laughing.
There's a story behind the name there. So when you skin out a bear, it looks like a greasy hog.
Yeah.
That's where the name came from.
So and he's a bear killer. So
No, I used to be.
maybe not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I killed
awesome.
too many in the past. Yeah.
So, what was your biggest takeaway from that whole experience? I mean, obviously,
Sure.
it sounds like the veteran thing was kind of became a calling for you, which is, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think, Jesse, to answer your question, my biggest takeaway was in business today, I guess, as I look back on it, I see the big picture.
Yeah.
I'm able to see a lot of things, and then they're no different than clips in my mind. Like I can say, and I can organize and structure a business plan or strategy of how to approach things, and you're still telling a story and you're still building relationships. So I think the biggest thing I've taken out of it is I can see the big picture. Awesome. And a lot of people don't see the big picture. I think they can see parts of it, and they can surround themselves with other people that can help them build that picture. But it's just being under the pressure of producing and having to do a show every week and meeting different people. I'm able to see the big picture.
Yeah. Do you know Chad Shearer, who lives up here?
I've heard of him, yes.
Yeah. So he's got a big hunting show, and he actually did a big fundraiser for us through the Sheriff's Foundation. It was really cool. He did a great job. And
I ran into him at the fair this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Neat guy.
He's a good guy.
A lot of cool stuff. But one of the things I really admire about you that I think is really neat is I like that you decided, I'm going to create my own path, and I'm going to go make a living for myself, but I'm going to do it doing all the things that I enjoy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Instead of you don't, when you enjoy what you do, you really don't work.
You don't work for a living. Yeah, my
No,
mom and dad, I can remember when I told
money.
them, my dad passed away about 3 years ago, but at the time when he was alive and I was telling him I'm leaving the post office, you know what he said? No. And my mom was like, don't do it. You have a pension. But you know what? That's what 99%, I want to be the 1%er. I don't want to be the guy that's, I'm a huge risk taker. That's another thing about me. Like I will literally spend all my money to grow a business to get to where I think I want to be, and I'm going to take a risk to get there. And it's worked really well for me. Not to say I haven't fallen flat on my face, on some other things I've done, but I wasn't going to follow through by staying in a 9-to-5 job, being told what to do as a creative. That would be like that'd be like sentenced to Alcatraz, where I could never swim and get to the other side of the shore. I could never do it.
We've had multiple veterans on this podcast, and I find there's a common theme. Almost all of them are super business savvy, and almost all of them, like the whole pension world, the whole thing, it doesn't really mean a lot to them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just that maybe they had too much structure in the military and they're like, I don't want to do that anymore, or that they've had different life experiences where they've been to other places in the world and they've seen things and they're like, all this government guaranteed stuff is not government guaranteed stuff. So just go do it.
Yeah. The nice thing about having my brother, so, we started Global Accountability Corp, which is a C Corp here right out of Montana. And when he got retired, I was like, okay, Al, come on over, because, our first real play was moving into more along the lines of, law enforcement was our first play. And we're yin and yang, just so we're clear. I'm the creative over here. Squirrel. He's over here like, listen, man, here's the dollars
Slow
and
your
cents.
roll.
So yeah. So, we complement each other a lot. I can bring in a lot of partnerships, and then he's like, show me the money. Like, Jerry, show me the money, Jerry, show me the money. So he completes that whole deal.
He is very creative though.
Yeah.
He was one of the biggest slayers of dude pedophiles.
Apparently, it made a great 12-year-old girl
Yes.
undercover. Like everybody was like, man.
Al Kinsey can act a part of a young girl, and he can bring in. I mean, we had dudes doing crazy stuff for a chance to fall in love with Al online.
I don't know if I've ever got a chance to speak to that version of him.
Yeah.
You ever seen that thing in Napoleon Dynamite? And he's like typing, and he goes, Napoleon, you're just jealous because I've been chatting with chicks all day online. Remember the whole thing? Al was like this to me. He's like, Jesse, you're just jealous because I've been chatting with dudes all day
Online. And some of them are coming to our door now.
Now, exactly. So Al, how about you? Talk to me about your, you get out of the military. And
Yeah, so I
what is
got out of the
your career?
military, got married, had obviously 4 kids, three boys and a girl. And so I started working odd jobs, really. Anything to make money. I was doing the reserves, Army Reserve. I was going to, University of Montana, for a couple credits here and there when I could, mostly summer. And I did construction, so I got pretty good at building houses for a while. Started out as a laborer, digging ditches to anything. And
Did the military engineer stuff help you with that? Was that a natural transition?
that was later after. So I started just doing civilian stuff, and then later I went into the engineer. I was out for about probably 2-3 years, and then went right into reserve. And then from there, it helped out quite a bit. But of course, the people that were there knew that actually, real engineers in life, they train you and teach you. And so after that, I went down to, El Paso, Texas. And of all places, I worked at Montana Mitsubishi, which is kind of crazy.
What?
On Montana Ave. I'm like, this is just crazy, right?
There's a place.
Foreshadowing.
There's a place in El Paso, Texas
called Montana Mitsubishi, and I worked there for a year. I was waiting for the wife to get out of the military, and she had a year left. And from there, sold cars. I was actually number 2 salesman of 3 dealerships. But I learned that, the sales stuff is really snaky.
Yeah.
And I didn't want nothing to do with it. I wasn't that guy. I'm not the guy that hold back, $200 rebate for a newlywed couple. So anyway, I got out and we came back to Montana, and I started doing security, and then progressed into court security for, federal at the federal courthouse in Missoula. I did that for 4 years while I was doing, part-time back to college, raising kids. And then I applied for U.S. Marshal, and I did the test. I thought I failed, 100%. I'm like, I failed that so bad. Even though I studied, did everything you're supposed to do, I failed, right? Nope, I passed. And then I got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you want a job? Except the marshals had a hiring freeze, which is, it's meant to be. And then I got a thing that said from U.S. Customs, if I wanted a job in Douglas. I'm like, where the hell is Douglas? Right?
Easy.
And Douglas, Arizona. I'm thinking California. I look on the map, Douglas, Arizona. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it as a special agent. Went down there for 7 years and then moved back here to Montana in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So that was you had some crazy times down in Arizona, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was like the Wild West, wasn't it?
Wild West.
It's insane. It's nothing like you even see on TV or even hear in conspiracy. It's brutal. It's such an open border. Like we go out with night scopes, we'd help Border Patrol because we're trying to get the drugs. Border Patrol at the time, we were U.S. Customs, so we would do like drug cases, stuff like that. We had guys at Border Patrol, BORTAC work with us, and we had this night scopes we'd run, and you'd see groups of hundreds coming through. It was crazy.
Jeez.
An average night is probably 1,000 a night in Cochise County coming through, not even getting caught. And of course, our thing was the drugs. We looked for the drugs. We let the UDAs, undocumented aliens, go by. We called Border Patrol. They tried to intercept the best they could. So anyway, we worked those kind of cases, and we started putting together as an investigator, started talking to people, and we built a case against the cartel. Because first, nobody wanted to testify, and then we got it to the point where I reached out to DEA. I was embedded with them for 2 years, and FBI, USA, Attorney's Office. And from there, we built a OCDF case, and we took down an entire cartel. We had the first roving wire in the state of Arizona, which is pretty good. So we did multiple wires, which are, Title III intercept.
Oh, yeah. That's a big deal.
And the last one I wrote was 126 pages.
Jeez.
Affidavit. It's insane. The requirements you need to hit just to listen to somebody's phone. So anyway, we dismantled the entire cartel. It was pretty cool at the end.
One of the things you shared with me when we were working together, you used to talk to me about the fact is like how the cartels would buy these defense attorneys here. And these defense attorneys know that they're terrorists. They know they're horrible, but they were giving them so much money and they owned these like high-priced defense attorneys and they would just fight like crazy for them. That just blew my mind. I mean, how does one country invade our country and then go get the best defense attorneys we've got?
Right.
Because they get paid a lot of money. And the one in particular, I won't name his name, but he used to be a former DEA agent. And then he went into legal and he got his attorney's license. And so we started seeing a pattern that all these people we had arrested tied to the cartel he would represent.
Interesting.
Every single one. And so we had sources talk about this guy in Mexico of how he would line up hits on different. It was insane. But the United States Attorney's Office would look the other way in Arizona.
Jeez.
They didn't want anything to do with confronting an attorney. It was kind of a lot of politics involved, even at that level.
Attorneys have this weird like inside hustle of my counterparts off limits.
Yep.
And they sometimes forget that some of these people get turned evil, and they're just evil.
We even had a U.S. attorney removed from our case. That person, the female, we had removed from the case because they were leaking info to the defense attorney who was being paid by the cartel.
Wow.
Like it goes on and on. It's just, and then chief United States attorney tried to have me removed from the case because I was the lead agent. There's a lot more involved. We fought, we won, the crazy stuff. End result, we took everybody down that we needed to. But yeah, it's like, we get a bunch of agencies that actually work together. The outcome isn't really
I
good.
had no idea. I mean, I know there's massive corruption in American government, and a lot of it's really coming out now. Especially with what they've done in the past couple of years, and coming out of COVID, America is kind of seeing behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And it's because social media, I think social media, everyone says it's evil, but the good thing about social media is there's a bunch of platforms people get to talk on.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's fairly quick delivery, faster than the 5 o'clock news. You're looking at it live, like right now, or within the hours,
But when we work together, I felt like you would tell me things and I could not believe the level of corruption. And what was weird and what made me sad was it was coming from our own government.
Right.
It wasn't coming from, I mean, the cartels they're just entrepreneurs.
They're
evil.
They're
but
evil entrepreneurs.
Yeah, we started arresting too many or getting too many loads. We would actually get calls from DC like, hey, you know, what's going on out there? Well, how about a pat on the back?
We're doing our job.
Or they pull us from an area. It's like, you know, it's kind of crazy. Not conspiracy, but it's just, it was hard. You know,
And what a
trying to work.
terrible thing to do to a cop.
Yep.
You know, you're told, hey, this is go out, do this stuff. Go, this is your job. Your job is to stop drugs. Your job is to protect our country. And then you start undermining them and transferring them because they did their job. And, this could be a morale kick in the butt.
We used to do scout eradication back in the day. So the helicopters would fly around. They'd drop us off. So the scouts from the cartels would be in this mountain range, right? And they'd have different radios. And they'd call out the loads. They move them up in the trucks. You know, loaded, you're talking 600 pounds to 2,500 pounds of marijuana. All day, every day, nonstop. Sometimes they mimic the ranch trucks. They find out whatever the rancher lives in the area, they mimic his truck to a T, except the driver, of course.
Right.
And we learned that we started learning they wore cowboy hats and they had a certain area. And so my buddy and I got smart, and there's a little dip in the highway, right? And we would set up, we would actually just camouflage in, and within sometimes 5 minutes, there'd be a load truck, bam, in our face. And we were like, that's it. You know, it's a stolen truck out of Phoenix normally, or a plate that comes back to some bogus vehicle. And then as soon as you turn your lights on, they're running.
Wow.
Chase, full chase. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
That is crazy. That's super crazy. So obviously then you came to Great Falls and then you started working, basically you kind of got big into the internet crimes against children thing.
Yeah, I actually started doing that back in Arizona. So there was 3 of us in Arizona that actually had more cases than the entire FBI. Which is crazy because they really started, you know, they got into it.
Wow.
Not really.
No, they got into it a lot more after that. But we would work so many and do leads. We would send leads worldwide. Like, I think it was like Shiraz. You could look at different things, you know, different platforms, and you could see and find out where each person was. And you could build cases. And of course, we target the ones that are really bad. But, you know, it depends on what country. Sometimes Germany didn't care, or any other country. We'd send, like, the worst offenders, we would send this giant lead packet and how we know that person, who it is. And we would download from and send everything they needed to do warrants in that country. And we worked a lot of those. So then I came to Montana. I started doing a little bit of stuff. I wanted out of the drugs because I'd worked drugs for so long and burned out, really. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And then you come up here and small stuff down there. It's like, if you turn in 80 pounds, people are like, what are you doing with 80 pounds? Up here, it's like your front paper. You know, you're big time. And down there, it got to the point where if you had 500 pounds or less, the United States attorneys would turn it down unless there's other factors. Yeah, it was insane. Wow. 500 pounds, Jesse.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah, so it's different. So coming up here, I want to do ICAC, you know, Internet Crimes Against Children, and stick with that. That was kind of my, you know, what I did. And a lot of people are like, well, how do you work those cases? But, you know, it's not, you do nothing to do with looking at the stuff. It's the kids they don't have a voice.
Nope.
And you're there to identify these men and women, because we arrested both, and get the kid out of whatever their
situation,
and put that person away. You know, that was our job, as you know. And that's why I did it. And people are like, it's, for me, looking back, it's easy.
It was, you know, the secret is, and you and I we talked about this. I don't know if you remember this. You stay offender focused. You stay focused on all your energy going to the bad guy. And the thing you had to keep away from was trying to get in too much. You could empathize with the victim, but you couldn't sympathize.
Gotcha.
You had to be careful.
Yeah, I understood.
You had to
you
had to guard yourself a little bit. And we had victim witness people, and one thing we were really good at is like, okay, pass them off to them. And we still had to deal with them.
Right.
But and the one thing that saved me, and I don't know if it saved you, we had really good forensics people, and they ended up having to look at the lion's share of all that stuff.
See, and that's where I'm like on the outside is like, so I remember all the clips I see, but all my stuff is like legit, you know, elk dying or veterans hiking, or I don't know if I could look at that. Because I would put an extra twist in their arm.
Well, I'm lucky. A lot of it, I don't think about it.
Okay, that's good to go.
I don't think you do either. I don't have like these flashing.
So my
images
old boss wrote a book in Arizona about all the drug stuff like that. But so anyway, one of the cases, there was a group of aliens that kidnapped a baby right at the border, threatened to kill the kid like an infant, and they're going to. They were not playing around.
Yeah.
So we did a bunch of stuff. We kicked in a ton of doors, but we couldn't find the kid. Like I'm talking like I think it was about 6-7 month old baby.
Oh wow!
And they're going, and mom, we would pay at the end. We're trying to figure out everything we could. We got some sources. Anyway, we got it to the point where Dad would meet the bad guy at I think it was a little hotel parking lot, and his signal was to take off his cowboy hat like that, and give us just kind of do like that. He confirmed the baby's there. Well, anyway, I'm on the front thing. I'm the driver, and we come in because the dad does this. Well, it's too hot. Arizona, it's like 100-some degrees. He's sweating his ass off,
blowing up.
And he takes his hat off. And we roll up there, and me and my buddy, we grab the bad guy, and we armbar him up in the air. And we were a little riled up, I'm not going to lie. And so he wrote about in the book that we a little excessive. No. He didn't comply. We just took him up high and straight on the cement. Well, the baby wasn't there. That's when shit hit the fan.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And so luckily we were able to flip one of the guys and hit the house and save the baby. But it was like stuff like that happens all the time. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's super crazy. I remember we worked some Amber Alert cases together, and we even and we rescued other kids too. And I remember you got in a total knockdown drag out. Remember with that pimp over at
the pimp fight
over at the hotel? Yeah, but he was like 250, 18 years old.
Well, I'm gonna put down the PD because we roll it. Not you and I, the other guy. I can't remember his name offhand. Detective. We roll over there. Everyone's doing the briefing. We're like, there he is. He's outside with another lady and the victim. Yeah. And the victim, it's like, okay, we're moving. And the guy, of course, sees we're marked. We're all the markings on police, and he didn't care. And it was kind of crazy from there. I got a little pimp fight, but
I'll never forget. I was coming code 3 in an unmarked, and the traffic wouldn't move, and I literally had to do the sidewalk thing. Go down the sidewalk. There's nobody on it, thank God. Yeah. But I literally had to do that to get to him because we were worried we weren't gonna be able to rescue our victim. Mm-hmm. And that was like, well, that's our priority. We got to rescue that victim.
Yeah, that was your case because it was an underage female being pimped. Yeah.
That was a crazy case. That was a crazy case. It led to oh man, remember Seattle SWAT got the main pimp out in Seattle?
Yeah, Seattle. Yeah,
and then they extradited him back. And I think those guys, one of them got out on parole and the other one's still in. But that case was a big case. Whether you're into getting fit or staying fit or just having fun with the family, join the Peak Health and Wellness Center today. With 2 great locations in Great Falls, they're here to serve you. If you like weightlifting, functional fitness, or enjoy a wide selection of cardio equipment, the Peak has everything you need. They also offer classes for all ages and fitness levels. The Peak even has a daycare for those busy parents out there. Go check out the Peak today. The Double Barrel Cafe is all about you, the amazing people of Cascade County. With every purchase you make, they give back to our community. Every bite and sip fuels their mission. Let's make a positive change, 1 cup and 1 bite at a time, because the Double Barrel is not just a cafe, they're building a better community. If you haven't noticed lately, Cascade County is booming, and the choice for all your construction needs is Builders First Source. They even have an automated home builders solution for all of your construction needs. Go to 826 Northwest Bypass in Great Falls and check them out today. Are you looking to replace those floors in your home? Or maybe you're doing new construction? The place I trust is Contract Flooring Carpet One. This is a locally owned and operated business here in Great Falls, and they are committed to serving you and giving you the very best prices and the very best product and service. Go see Contract Flooring Carpet One today. You'll be floored. If you love a farm-to-table experience as much as I do, then you have to go to the Roadhouse Diner. The local McCafferty Ranch beef served on every burger. Try my personal favorite, Death by Bacon, today. Central Avenue Meats gets their beef and pork exclusively from a local producer, McCafferty Ranch. Go see them at 422 Central Avenue in Great Falls, and always support your local rancher. When deciding who I would trust for the technology component of this podcast, the choice was simple: Information Systems in Montana. Whether purchasing products for business or when I had them build me a new MacBook to catch child predators, they delivered, creating a solution for my exact needs. Contact Information Systems in Montana today. Everybody needs a good insurance plan. Whether it's for home or auto insurance, check out Heinbaugh Agency. Eric Heinbaugh is a local agent focused only on customer service, not sales. If you're passionate about firearms and the Second Amendment like I am, one of the best places in all of Montana to go is Mitchell Supply. Jim and Tammy Mitchell have been running this gun store for decades. They're major supporters of the Second Amendment, and they're major supporters of our community. And obviously, they're supporters of this podcast. For all your firearms needs, go check out Mitchell Supply today. So, as we go through kind of your guys' careers and everything, and then you get out of production, you're like, so what was the deal? Did you just like have enough?
Well, no, there's a little story behind that. So about almost 3.5 years ago, while I was producing, I got a call from a guy out of Missoula that said, hey, I have this video I need done. I was like, I want to do a product video. I'm thinking, I have no time for a product video. I'm in the middle of like 100 things. But he's a local guy. I'm like, well, you didn't get to where you are, not helping people and people helping you, Jim. So at least go see what he wants to do. So I go meet up with this guy. And when I saw what he had created, or the concept of what he wanted to do, I was like, have you told anybody this yet? He goes, no. And so the concept was he wanted to take a near-field communication chip, which is the NFC chip, and put it in a flexible police officer badge. And he wanted to start a thing called the Accountability Corporation for, transparency, accountability, and positive validation for law enforcement. And I was like, oh my God, this is a great idea. And I thought, well, it'll never go on a badge that you flex and take off and you're going to hand to the guy to tap with their phone to get the information. We need to put it in like a credit card style form, so once I saw what he did, I was like, we need to start a C Corp. We need to file for a provisional patent, and we need to build a real group of people that understand this technology. So flash forward 3 years, 3 months later, here we are with a patent for identity verification. It's called Tap to Identify. So it's an identity verification platform with near-field communication with a patron survey. So we call it Tap to Identify.
Can you break all that down into plain English?
So sure. So a near-field communication means it's an NDEF chip that you would basically take your phone, and as your phone gets close to the chip, it powers it up that chip on a certain frequency, right? And that chip does what it's programmed to do. It can ping a website with your identity. In this case, well, we partner with a couple different groups, and so if you know what tap to pay is, or Google Pay, where you use your phone to pay for things, it's no different. It's all that's doing is just going to go, hey, it's fintech. It looks for the money in your account. Yeah, we're good, and pays the fee, right? I mean, that's just a generic of how it works. Ours is no different. So in a use case, our first use case was we wanted to start with law enforcement. So we went to Alpharetta, Georgia. We went with Captain Mike Stewart, and we have 130 officers right now using this as a use case for the nation. So they all have it looks like just like a regular identification card with their picture on it. And if you were to approach or get pulled over in Alpharetta, Georgia to this day, and you'd ask for them for their information, which you would normally hand out a business card, right? And you would write the incident report number on that card. Well, all we did was we digitized all of that to give you real credible badge information. The badge hasn't changed since 1845. You wear it proudly, right? I mean, you're law enforcement, it's a big deal. And I would, it's one thing I never did, but I'm kind of regretful. I would have loved to have been in law enforcement. But if you can de-escalate that situation right out of the gate to say, hey, I have nothing here. Here's my information right here. Here's my badge. Here's my supervisor, all with a tap. Well, now you've just de-escalated that situation, and now that citizen can download your V card with all the information and leave a survey of how that interaction went. Right. And so if you look at the use case of Alpharetta, we had boots on the ground. The entire C-suite showed up there, and we all talked about what do you want? How do we change this? How do we make this the best platform? And it was funny to see after 3 days, it was saving them time, energy, money. The community loved it. They were all like, whoa, this is awesome. So flash forward a year and a half later, now we have a biometric card. We partnered with a biometric company, and now we can put it all into a tap.
So our patent covers tap to identify.
Tap to identify.
So yeah, like tap to pay, it's tap to identify as our patent, basically.
That's awesome.
It's a geofencing patent.
So yeah, obviously I'm familiar with this because we looked into our commissioners, cut it out of our budget.
Sure.
We're gonna push hard for it because I really believe in it.
Yeah.
One of the things that you described to me that I really liked was when you guys called me about it and you were talking about you can put the case number in there.
Correct.
And then if that person can later email the detective or the officer and go, oh, I missed all these things in my inventory of the burglary, send them to them. Yeah. And then all that detective has to do is copy and paste that in his report, upload it,
100%.
good to go. It speeds up everything. I love the survey.
Yep.
I'm big on accountability to our community. We have really, really great deputies here in our community. We have awesome. I mean, they're just such hard workers. They're so aggressive.
Sure.
They're super aggressive. They do a great job, and we want them to be that way. But then we want feedback. Like, are they aggressive with the bad guys, but taking care of the people who are victims? You know, are they doing that good balance of
the data,
justice type of thing?
The data analytics that you'll be able to pull from those reports and from every specific officer, because it timestamps their location,
right,
where they had the interaction. You know, in a court of law, I'm sure that would come into play to say I met with so and so at this time at this point in line. You know, that timestamp when the initial action goes doesn't lie. You know, every one of your law enforcement officers become a recruiter.
Yep.
So every time you meet somebody, maybe they want to wear the blue, maybe they want to become a deputy or whatever. That's built right into the front-facing page of your identity, right? The biggest thing out right now, Jesse, is people are talking about identity. Hey, it gets stolen all the time. You know, are you really talking to that? There's imposters. You know, there's probably people that dress up. They'll go buy a badge on eBay and they'll get a suit and they'll pull people over. It's a real thing that people don't hear about. It's not just that happens on TV. It's real.
Well, remember the Barjona case, the guy who everyone thought killed Zach Ramsey, case that you and I really wanted to work. Remember?
Oh yeah,
we wanted to work it bad.
And, that was sad. You read that thing. Yeah. Oh, brutal. Man.
But you know, that's what he did is he impersonated law enforcement to attract kids.
This completely stops imposters, 100%. And so now when you ask for badge information, you get real credible information. You download the V card right onto your phone, and you've got the incident report number attached.
Well, one of the cool things that I like that you talked about is the way it works, though, too, is you got biometrics. So for it to download to your phone, my biometric thumbprint has to be activating
true story, yes.
So it works.
Correct.
So if you steal my card, you can't impersonate me because it doesn't have my
not just for the identity for the tap, but also for getting in and out of the building.
Everything.
So we've locked you out of the building. We've locked you out of the computer, like your tough books, all that. You can't even get on the computer unless your thumbprint matches. It's going to ask you for your FIDO2.
It's absolutely brilliant technology.
Yeah, you know, and it's about ready to be PIV and TWIC approved, which means the federal government now will be using this technology. And
what did you say approved?
PIV and TWIC approved. PIV is, I forget the actual acronym, what it stands for. It's basically, it's all the federal government agencies. They have traveling worker or something card. Right. And then, anyway, that's basically for the federal government. It's like, so FBI, all the big, you know, that would be approved. The military.
Yep.
Yeah, all military. So once the Century card, who's one of our partners, Century Enterprises, made right out of Westchester, Pennsylvania, so American made. But we're a Montana C Corp, and our whole thing is to
we
represent.
started in Missoula, but now we're Great Falls.
Yeah, we're out of Great Falls now. So we moved our corporation over here, and we're really excited to debut, hopefully right here, for Sheriff's Department in the nation. Hopefully you guys, and then from there take it to the nation.
That's so awesome. I mean, I just love. I mean, one of the things that I was excited about your guys' product when we talked about it was it does good. It's technology that only has a good side.
Yeah.
There's not a dark side to your technology. And I'm not I mean, there's entrepreneurs out there building apps and doing great things. And if you're into Snapface or Bookface or any of that stuff, I mean, all the more power to you. I'm not knocking you. You're in business to make money. But one of the cool things it's about your guys is, and it's kind of funny because listening to both of your backgrounds and what you did in your lives, I can tell you guys don't want to make a product that could be used for something nefarious.
Yeah,
this cannot be used for nefarious. In fact, that's the entire design of it. because it cannot be used for a bad purpose.
Might want to talk about so we're looking at the mitigating some fraud with Visa, MasterCard. And
Yeah,
we're
correct.
in talks with that side of it too, because basically if you're not holding your card with your biometrics, and
doing your
our IP,
purchase, we know that it's you buying that. You're not going to get a push notification to your phone. It's going to show that you're standing on planet Earth at that point in time doing a $5,000
All right,
purchase.
just only if you could make it so that my kids can go into the grocery store and run my card when I don't want to go out in the cold. Can we do that?
Yeah, you can. You can. You could. Yeah, you can with the Century card. So we work with them close to add it. We added our IP to it, and so we could definitely you can. So how it works is
I'm mostly kidding about that. But,
but you could. You
seriously.
in theory could. Anyway, we've got some really cool things, and what a lot of people talk about, like with the blockchain. Let's use the distributed ledger technology, right? DLT. Blockchain is. You think about cryptocurrency and things, but when you're talking about identity, that's where you've got, we call it self-sovereign identity and decentralized ID. It's not owned by Google or Apple or Microsoft. You're in charge of your own identity, and it's stored on the card, and it's only there. It doesn't ever have to go touch an outside source.
Right.
So it's really, really cool what we've developed and what we're bringing to the nation.
So are you two the sole owners of it?
No, I'm the CEO. He's the president, and then we have one other. My cousin Mike, believe it or not, he's our vice president.
Imagine me. I'm president of a C corp.
Yeah,
Isn't that great? That's not even.
El Presidente.
President.
Yes,
He's moving
I
up.
can imagine that actually. So, but I mean, here's the only thing, and I mean, I don't knock you guys for this, so don't take it this way. How long is it before you just come in and get bought out? I mean,
We're hoping this afternoon.
well,
Wait, who's knocking at the
call for
door?
me?
and the reason I say this is like, I'm serious, you guys. This is such good idea and such good technology, and the fact that you thought ahead to get the patent and you got the patent.
And
the way
we
you
have
did.
other patent pending to cover our patent.
Yeah, so we've
There's
added
no way to circumvent it.
We've added
Yeah, it's a lot of-
biometrics and facial and palm and vein and iris, all to our NFC tag, so nobody else can come around us
Right.
on a global scale. So we've protected ourselves there, and we've also filed for continuation. So we are able to expand on the patent so that it gives it a broader reach. And as of right now, I think we have 32 companies infringing on our patent that we know of.
Wow.
That we can go after here shortly. Yeah, we're not here to be that guy, but that's license. We're
Well, but
we're
that's-
leaving money on the table while they're making.
That's why you got a patent.
Yeah,
is
so-
you didn't get the patent to not protect it.
Correct. So we feel like we're in a really good position. We're positioning ourselves for licensing agreements and building, like stuff with like the sheriff ID would be like is what will run for sheriff departments. Police smart card will be for police. Absolute identity. We're working with Vizient, which is a huge group purchasing. We call them GPO. They have $150 billion in buying power. We just debuted our absolute ID in front of those guys at Grapevine, Texas, and they are very interested in what we have. And this is all right out of Montana.
So you guys just hustling all the time. You traveling
every single day.
traveling and jumping on Zooms nonstop.
Nonstop.
and-
Jim's doing 95% of it. I do like 5%. I want to give myself 5%.
Yeah, well, when I walked away from TV, so it's like look at this. Look at it this way. So, did you want to keep producing and do that both at the same time? It's impossible.
Right.
If you really want to be successful, you have to just say, okay, I'm all in, and you just have to put that away. Now, this is something that I loved. I got paid to go hunting for a living. Most people are like, you have the best job in the world. So it's kind of reversed for me. I started out, here I am, had the ultimate job and everything. I went all the way forward, and now I'm going backwards. Like I'm in a C Corp now. Like why would you walk away from that to do this? Well, it's because I want to make the world a safer place.
Well, but also too, I mean, when you have a good concept, you have a good concept, and you got to just sometimes go with it and see where it'll go. I mean, I love everything that you guys are doing. I mean, I think it's super cool. Plus, I like you guys as people, so that makes it even better.
Yeah,
it makes it more exciting. And so I'm super rooting for you. I think, especially the way the world is right now, with artificial intelligence right now.
Right.
One of my fears, and maybe
Skynet?
Yeah. So
one of my super big fears is that they will literally get to the point where they will be able to like be you.
Oh, it will be there someday.
I mean, I think we're already
maybe
there.
not in our lifetime, of course.
No, I
but
think
yeah.
I think we're already there.
Deep fakes and things of that nature.
But I mean,
yeah.
and I'm talking about like right now through social media,
Mm-hmm.
someone else could become Jim Kinsey online.
They could.
And
Sure.
there's really nothing you could do about it. And they could make horrible statements, do horrible
There could be a lot
things.
of things. Yeah, these are some of the things that like so.
So
as
protecting your identity though through a like you said, like onboard biometric system.
yeah.
I mean, I realize you
Yep, but
probably wouldn't defend that, but yeah.
Yeah, so the biometrics stay on the card too, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
The biometrics are stored on the card, encrypted, wrapped, and can never be hacked. Now, the FBI, the Pentagon, all those guys have acid washed this card. They've tried everything to break into it. They can't. It fails before they can hack it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's why Piv and Twick is coming. So go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at healthcare too. A huge thing with the healthcare.
Yeah.
With same thing with the identification portion.
Yeah, we just hired a PhD, Jonathan Butler. Great shout out to him. He, brilliant mind. His thesis and what he was working on was compact licensing when he was coming out of school, and so he's been a hospital administrator. He's been in the 15 years in the healthcare industry. He looks at the absolute ID as for compact licensing. Traveling doctors and nurses now can show up. If I'm a respiratory specialist in California, I've got an outbreak of COVID somewhere. You know how long it takes me to go to work on compact licensing today? 6 weeks. How many people just died waiting for me to go to work as a specialist? With our system that we're building, they can go to work the same day.
That's awesome.
So that's just part of it. How about this CMS, right? All your Medicaid, Medicare cards of the future. How would you like to mitigate all fraud, or really take it to where if your biometrics don't match and or telemedicine, Amazon, where we're going to be talking to those guys. These guys are all coming at us because they see what we're building and they like what we have. And when you're mitigating billions of dollars in fraud, they want to work with you.
I think the one thing though that you guys are really going to have to push on people is when I first heard about it, like when you guys first like kind of threw it out there, I was like, no way. I don't want my biometrics on something.
Sure.
No way. Because they're going to find some way to use it against me. It's going to be out.
Yeah,
but then when you explain it,
it can't be hacked. It can't be.
But when
Nobody can get your biometrics. The card, so it's on the card and can't be retrieved from the card. It doesn't come off the card. It doesn't ever touch a server. Yeah.
when you guys explained it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, and it's more having to do with your actual own living, breathing thumbprint or fingerprint or whatever.
It has a live
with
sensor too,
Yeah.
so you can't be the mob, cut off your finger and make it work
Oh,
to
wow.
get your identity. So it'll know if you're alive or dead.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah.
And think
I
about
didn't know
voter
that
fraud.
either.
Let's say I wanted to go into a voter fraud. That's a huge play. So
Yeah.
when I'm in Florida, I'm going to go right straight to some of the guys down there, and I've talked to some of the guys with the governor's team about this, and we've had multiple meetings about it. You can completely, these guys that are dead, that are voting,
Yeah.
you're not going to. There's no way you can beat this system if it became the new voter card. You could literally show up, biometrics match, authenticate. You're on this there. There you are. I see you are who you say you are, and now you can vote.
Let me ask you, let me throw this at you. Would you say the only hole in your system is it's only as good as the information that's put into it?
Oh, no. Yes and no, but you have to use your government ID that's issued to you already in order to even be into the system. So you have to have a government, like a passport or your driver's license is part of the credentialing process.
Right.
That with the group we're working with. So, you're right. It's only as good as the information put in, but it's nothing. It's not something that can be hacked. It's not a hackable system. If the Pentagon and those guys can't hack this system, and the card failed before, you have a pretty robust, system.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. That's super cool, guys. I'm so proud of you guys. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
That's
super
We've
cool.
aligned up with some really cool people that are helping us,
Yeah.
make the world a better place and safer place. And so we're just excited to be where we are. And 2024 is looking really bright right now.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you guys, so talk to me about like what the dream is. Where do you want to be?
I can say what my dream is. I want to get licensing, the technology in fintech, healthcare, government, real estate, education, obviously with municipalities, and get it out there so that we can restore citizen police relations and recruit more law enforcement officers and help all the stuff that the good can do. And then my goal is I would like, I'm not going to say I'm the best CEO in the world. I've got it up to this point. I would love to bring in somebody like a Fortune 500 guy to come in and help really take this thing to what it could be because of their expertise and how they can scale. And then I would like have a ranch somewhere where I could, have think tanks and have veterans come and help them,
See, I disagree with that. I don't think you should ever not be the CEO of it. I think you two are passionate about it. It's your dream. I think you guys would be, by the way, I think you guys would be great Shark Tank candidates. and I think you should go. No, I'm dead serious.
Not at the percentage they hand out.
I'll take it for 40% for 10 grand.
Well, you walk away, but you still got the exposure. Who cares? Right?
Yeah, I just know. I feel like I'm a good guy, but I think there's people that could do a better job than me. I guess.
Yeah, but be careful about that though, because you may find someone who's just looking at it from dollars and cents and how I get my percentage. Where you actually care about the product.
I do.
You guys care about what it does for people. Yeah. And there's a human factor that I think is important. And I think where companies make, you guys are in the corporate world now. In the major corporate world. You've been there a little bit, but, getting out of government and getting out of being self-employed.
Right.
Be careful, though, because every time I see people who go get those big people that are like, oh, they're gonna be our salvation. The one thing I like about the Shark Tank model is you can buy those people out.
Right.
They come in at a percentage, and all you have to do is look at yourself and go, okay, this is a short-term thing, and we can buy them out, and we're done.
Yeah.
But just be careful. I think if I were you guys, I'm not saying control is everything, but make sure it stays. It could go away from a way that you want it.
Right. And that is really good advice.
If you're not proud of it, it's going to bother you. And you guys, putting in a ton of hard work.
Yeah, we're vested. Like if we're somebody else knew, they wouldn't be as vested as us. Obviously.
We're so vested. It's
money, time, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm almost 3 years, 4 months now.
Listening to you guys, it's inspiring. If I wasn't doing what I was doing, I'd be like, how do I come work for you?
Yeah.
Seriously. It's exciting. I would be like, I'm in. Here's my chips.
I've had
how's president sound to you?
Exactly. I've had other conversations, and with different, I think it's Banning Sweatland. I think he's one of the guys out of Texas. And I've also talked with Mark Lamb, had multiple conversations with him. He thinks our technology is brilliant. He loves it. Obviously, he's running for Senate now. Sheriff Lamb for Senate. I know, sir. I'm all 100%.
We got to make sure that guy
vote
gets
for
elected.
him. Vote for Sheriff Lamb.
Send him money.
Yeah, you bet. Mark Lamb's he's just a solid guy. He's not afraid to stand up to the woke folks, and I love him to death. And so I met him at SHOT Show, and I text him now and then. But I think Pinal County or whatever. I think those guys at some point hopefully will take it. We'll see. It's just like we're just getting our feet under us now.
Yeah, my dad's moving down there, and I'm bummed because Sheriff Lamb won't be the sheriff down there by the time he moves down there because he'll be senator, I'm sure.
Yeah, what a great face. I love that guy.
Well, he's he's a true American, and he's a good dude. One thing I like about him is a lot of those sheriffs who are super conservative and pro-Constitution like he is, they can go to a weird place.
Sure.
And he never has. He's always still like, this is my job. This is what I'm here to do.
Correct.
And I think he's going to be a really great senator. And that's cool that their county's looking at it because that's a big county.
Yeah, I've had multiple conversations with him about it. And I think, as we develop, 2.0, we'll call it, I think, and we release that's when all eyes will be on us because it's it's all developed. We just are plugging in an API with a third party right now.
What's an API?
It's just like it's their platform. It's their app basically that we speak. Our technology speaks with their technology, and they've got everything developed from A to B, Z or whatever, and we're ready to go. So that's coming Q1.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How much did your production technical background help you with this?
I think a lot, just because I had to be a technical person, and so a lot of the stuff. There's some new technology I'm having to learn the lingo, and especially speaking corporate is not my strong suit, but I've learned it. Yeah. But I think that has helped me quite a bit in this journey.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you, Al? Because you actually, I know you had some technical savvy.
Well, yeah, but I do. So I do a lot as president. At first, I was doing everything financial, all the banking, all the everything. I do all the contracts, all the stock stuff, all that. So even secretarial. Until we were kind of
we all wear kind of multiple hats here.
Yeah, we multiple hats.
Yeah.
So we actually have other people in place, but I still help out on the things I need to do. But yeah, Jim's more tech savvy than I am.
We just got an executive assistant who worked at the State Department for 20 and a half years under the multiple presidents that are now working directly with us to do everything. I mean, we're so lucky to have her, Elizabeth, yeah, we've just got a solid group of people that all believe in the same mission. And, it all started with law enforcement.
Yeah. Seeing Donald Trump's going to watch this, and he's going to be like, Jim and Al Kinsey, smartest people ever. And next thing you know, he's going to
it's funny to say, but I mean, when you're bringing transparency and accountability and you're, an elected official, the community will press for it. They want it because they now can be like, oh, this is another thing that you can add into that when you're, as a politician. I think, it's a strong play. It's a win-win.
When you work directly for the people and they're your boss.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you can do to make them feel safer. Yeah. Anything you can do to make them sure that they're not. I mean, look at all these fraud scams that happen. Like we get them daily.
Sure.
There's daily a person mimicking themselves, and I won't say in what accent because I don't want to give it away because it's the only thing that helps us. And they'll call in and say they're a cat. It's funny. They almost always get like the title wrong with the last name.
Sure.
It's like, but people don't know that. And they're defrauding. I mean, I had a friend call me the other day, gave up $2,500 to these people.
Unreal.
And so anything you can do.
We work some of the major cases like that where old people were sending. They just want to talk to anybody calls an old person. It seemed like they didn't have family calling them. They would talk and they give up more info. And the next thing they're sending hundreds of thousands of dollars to these people. It's brutal when you work these cases. Brutal.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard
life savings.
I've heard of cases of like $600,000 and it's just gone.
Never to be seen again.
It's just so sad. So I mean, this technology is like kind of where it's at.
Yeah. So I met with I can't say his name on camera or whatever, but high guy in the government, working with Trump's team. And I debuted and showed him how our technology works. Like just to open a federal government computer, or maybe you're a traveling doctor nurse. I showed him how our technology with our partners, that we can do push notifications to your phone. And then you hold our card up to the phone and you do the entire process with your thumbprint, powers the card. And then it says, it'll actually, are you really who you say you are? That's when FIDO, it's called Fast Identity Online, kicks in. I can tell you my PIN is 1313, but you can't get in the push notification. You're definitely not getting on my computer to open. So I showed him how it worked, and I put my PIN in, and my computer opens right there. He was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, that's the future. That's because awesome. So we're talking cybersecurity, ransomware, all these different things that come out. We can mitigate that.
You know who you guys really need to approach on this, and I'm dead serious about this, is Airbnb and VRBO.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you get these people, they sign up online, right? You make sure that person is who they say they are when they show up.
100%.
And they have like a VRBO.
They could have the VRBO code or whatever it is. The card could be the card, and they get that, and that's like an annual, like the founder's card. You ever see that one? You get all these discounts all over. Yeah. It could be similar in something like that, where you get that, and then that allows you access to all the door locks on different various things or. Whatever.
I wonder too if the future is like you go to a hotel, right? Mm-hmm. And you go online and you make your hotel reservation and you set it up and they say, okay, check-in's 3:00.
Got it. Done. It's already done.
They just at like 2:50 they send you your room number. And you just walk up with your card.
Has it? Yeah. So the group I'm working with, they've already developed that, and it'll already work. It'll work on our cards. These are things that we can do with them, even though that's not really our line of business. But they have that, and it works with any of the hotels. It works with you can check in and out. You don't even have to go to the desk. You just show up, go in, and you take the card and you tap it, and you're in your room. You don't even get the regular key cards that you get.
Exactly, and then the hotel doesn't have to. That staff they don't have to hire.
Yeah,
because.
You can use the card or you could use your phone. So in our use case, we're doing, especially with healthcare, we're going to have both a digital version on your card, over here on your phone, and also the card. So we'll have two different ways, and they'll use different gestures in order to open, depending on what you're doing.
Too, like with the electric cars and stuff, you could probably get to the point too where you just walk up to your car and open up your car and start it.
100% true story.
Off you go. Elon Musk, you guys.
I could tell you stories if I could tell you some of the people we're talking with. You wouldn't even believe me.
You guys need to call up Elon Musk right now and get a deal with Tesla. You'd be set.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Next, rocket chips. You guys are off.
King Ranch, guys. King Ranch. That's the word. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Thanks for coming on, guys. I mean, I'm super excited to air this episode. I think it's going to be absolutely great.
Yeah.
And anything that, anybody here in this great county of Cascade County can do for you, just let us know, because this community loves its people, loves its entrepreneurs.
Wow.
That's why we do this.
Yeah,
So,
I'm excited to to help without any way we can make the world a safer place, and hopefully the governor listens in on this podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
I'll drop him a link.
Perfect.
I will drop him a link when it's
That's
ready.
great.
I'll say, here you go.
We appreciate you, Jesse. Thank
God
you,
bless
sir, for having
Jim.
us.
Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sheriff.
Al. Great to see you again.
It was
Thanks,
good
guys.
working with you too.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right. Take care, guys. God bless.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Jesse Slaughter with the Pursuit Podcast. And we really appreciate the amazing support already that this channel has received. Our social media is blowing up. Everywhere we look, people are liking and clicking and commenting. But what we really need you to do is subscribe to our Facebook page and follow us on Spotify. That's what drives this channel. That's what's going to keep this channel going forever. Tim and Ben are behind the scenes doing tireless editing, working on this to make this come out the way it does, this high quality product that it is. So please go in there, click subscribe, click follow, and make sure that this channel sticks around for a long time, because we truly believe it's doing a lot of great things for our community. But there's many, many other people out there who we need to support. So follow and subscribe today. Thank you.